Hey guys, Artillery Boy here, and today we're gonna be doing another video. Just like the Czech M10, we're gonna be doing the Polish MP4 and the MP4B. Let us begin with the MP4. Now, let's talk about the history, the entire accessories, the mask itself, and of course, testing on the mask, even the cheek filters. Let's begin with the history. This mask was made during the 1970s to the early 90s. Now it began production in 1970s. Now the early prototype of this is very much made of black rubber, but with the silver island iframes and the voice emitter. Just imagine this, but with silver on it. And in 1972, there were early versions that were very identical to this, which is known as the OM-MG2. Now, the difference is the iframes are completely black. These were very much issued to the Polish People's Army and the Polish Armed Forces. Now, let's begin doing And now, let us do with the entire thing, the mask itself and the accessories. Now, the carrier itself, and yes, this is real, this is what the carrier looks like. Very much identical to the M17's carrier. But it's kind of the same, but the materials are completely different. Of course, this is for the shoulders, for the shoulder straps, and of course, we got the leg strap over it. Now, the thing I got was pretty bare bones. Now, it does come with, like, the wipes, just like the MC1. And, of course, different eye lenses, just like the MP4B that it came with. Yeah, just the bare bones of it. Just like the M10 and many other copies, this one's actually closely identical to it. Even including, yes, you heard right, the flapper tap, but unfortunately, it's just for the exhale valve, but there's no function inside of it, which, yes, you kind of will. I will show you what I mean. It's just, unlike this one was actually meant for a resuscitation tube, but this one doesn't have a little piece inside of it to use the resuscitation tube, and I'll bring into that. Well, this one on the other hand is, well, I mentioned about this that it has different have pretty much screwed on there. Have screws, then for you have to pry it open. Now, another difference is on this one that this is much more wider apart, which you could definitely tell from them two. This one's much more wider apart than the M17. That's the only difference of them, but this is very much the same thing as the M17. Now, looking at the mask itself, you got your stamp right here. It's upside down. It's upside down of all things. And of course, you got your size. And of course, got your diaphragm. The entire exhale valve. Now, inhale to go this way, and then exhale will go that way. And of course, the diaphragm. And of course, the part where you to put your cheek filter on there when you align it. Now, it is made in a gray rubber with some elastic straps, a 6-point head harness straps, which that's pretty common for it. Now, inside of the mask, and this is pretty much inside of the mask, this is what I mentioned, that it does not have a part for your resuscitation tube. Yeah, Yeah, for the part of the resuscitation tube is not even in there, which that's kind of a really weird, maybe the resuscitation tube was so bad that they decided not putting that in there. Yeah, just... Now, let us go do the cheek filter entirety of it. Now, our first step, we take these caps off for the filter. This one's unfortunately was a little busted, so I'm gonna have to pry this out of here. You just pry it open, kids. Next step. Now you go inside the mask. Here's these little tabs. You do it like the M17 and the Czech M10. And there are 2 more tabs on both sides. Take them out. Next step. Our next step, we do the same thing like everything else. Take off the filter, but take this side out first. And not the sharp end first. We take off the filters. Now we take those filters off. And now you've taken off the filters. Now we replace the filters. Now to install the mask, you do the exact same but just take it as reversed. Oh, wrong cheek filter. Now you put on the pointy end first. Now, unlike this, you make sure you line up the cheek filters. Yeah, experimenting with these cheek filter masks, and I really mean it's actually become much more easier when time goes on. And now you do the same thing with this cheek filter. And yes, cheek filters are going in this way. And there you go. Gotta make sure, yes, you heard this correctly. Take the bottom part from the MP4. And now you line this up yet again. And now you install the cheek filter. Now we get to this part. Now our next step is going to be putting on the snaps, as always. Yes, that's the cheek filters going in there. There we go, the plastic tabs are in there. Got the tabs in there. And now you get the oral nasal cup piece. Remember, put the bottom part out there too. Get that piece out of there. Okay, got that there. Now you go to the other one. And you put that there. Yeah, let me go fix that, but now let's get to the next and final step. As I mentioned, our next step is going to be making sure you lining up the cheek filter. And now you push it in there. And it's secured tight. Right before you have to pry them out again. And you push them there, and then it is done. That's how you replace it, replacing the cheek filter. Now let's go try on the mask. So this is what it sounds like with the mask on. This is with the extra lenses on. You know, I think it's not bad, but the thing that I'm quite lacking on this is something to drink with. Well, they got that in stores, and it's another mask, but with a different look. We are getting into the MP4B. Now, let's talk about the history, the entire accessories, the mask itself, and of course, testing on the mask, even the cheek filters. Let's begin with the history. And now we got another variant of it, which is the MP4B. Yeah, that's just the same. It's nothing more than the same thing, but with a minor difference. The drinking straw. These masks were around about in the 90s, and these were pretty much pushed aside from another mask since they decided to use Stanags instead of the Ghost filters. Now, let's go look at the entire mask and the accessories itself. First off with the accessories. Now, it comes with the bottle inside the bag. Just like I mentioned in the MC1, it comes with these anti-fog wipes. Now, inside here, we got pockets inside. They got in pockets. One for the wipes, and this one for the drinking straw. Alongside with another pocket, just to put putting a little booklet in there. You can pause the video and read all this. It's it's very much a guide for it, alongside with the picture of the back of the mask, which we'll get to that in a moment. Then we have another one of these. Yeah. Again, if you can pause the video to read all this, but there's nothing on the back. And of course, this one, on the other hand, has these. We got outserts for your mask. And inside here, pretty much nothing inside. Well, a little pocket. It's very familiar to the M17, except for this part. That was added in. That's the only difference. Also, another one is kind of has that rubberized material. Now, let's get to the mask itself. Now, as I mentioned to the mask, it is very familiar to the MP4, even including with the resuscitation tube piece, or this entire area, which I really kind of defeat the purpose of, because it doesn't have a resuscitation tube. Now, it does have the same material as the MP4, but at the back of it, there's kind of a bit of a different story with it. Now, inside the mask, which you could definitely see here, it only is a drinking straw in there, alongside with a couple of stamps in there. Of course, you got the C1, and this one's must be from 92, very much after the entirety of the Cold War. And this one, but it has the stamp right on here, which is upside down. Mine's have 4 dots. So that must be came from winter. And this one's from 95. Also, another one is 90. And that must be the mold number for it. Now, I'm not going to take off the cheek filter so I can show you. It is very much have the same function as the MP4. But we will be doing is testing the mask. Now, let's go try out the outserts. Actually, I could show you the comparison to all the other ones with a drinking straw. Now, this is what it looks like with the outserts on. Now, let's do the comparison between these. Now we got to the comparison to it. Now, it's clearly obvious that the M17 is very much familiar to it. Just I mentioned about it, it has the same tab, but this one has a function to it, like for resuscitation tube. But the comparison to this one, it's completely different on there. Now, you actually can remove the cap easily, but this one you have to screw on. You have to screw on there. And the entire exhale assembly is completely different than this one, because this one's made of hard plastic, having a drinking straw around the mask, hence very much familiar to this guy. The only difference on these two is just the drinking straw on the bottom of the mask. Kind of weird. Now, I know you all been waiting for this. Let's go try on the mask with the inserts too. This is what it sounds like when you wear the MP4B. Now let's go test this out. Now, this is kind of much more of an experiment, but yes, this did not work well with this. Let's go test about this. Now, I tested this, but it did not really work because it's not much deeper, and you gotta need to have this variant because it's much more deeper on there. Let me put that there. Yeah, it's much deeper inside there, which that works perfectly well. But this this can fit. I gotta say, this can fit, but it does not really. It may work, but not. You're gonna need a lot of effort with that, or may not. Now, we're gonna get to the pros and cons and the final verdict. Now, pros on the mask. Now, I think it's did made it unique by making the eyepieces more apart. Of course, it's just another M17 clone. Now, I do have a pretty much of a con with there, which you definitely can. I can actually show you this, and this one's from my MP4B, which you see this one right there, the little tab there. This one did not have another one, which unfortunately that one was missing in there. I think it's not really a major thing. At least it's attached there. So, yeah, it's... So, I gotta say here, it's just a not bad mask. So, my final verdict, I gotta say, a 6 out of 10 for the MP4. Meanwhile, a 7 out of 10 for the MP4B, because this one had a drinking straw, and this one did not. So, that wraps up the MP4 and the MP4B. Now, tune in next time, where we're about to do a particular mask that was become popular in last year, 2019. But we're going to start off with the French chronological, and then we're going to build up to this guy. Now, that wraps up the video. Like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. I'm Artillery Boy, and I'm signing out.